Well, small cell lung cancer has represented one of the greatest challenges in cancer treatment, with little progress against this aggressive tumor type seen in decades. Now a new treatment approach is available to patients. So joining us to share more about this complex disease and the latest advancements is Dr. Paul Burton, Senior Vice President and Chief Medical Officer at Amgen. So Doctor, thanks for being here. Why is small cell lung cancer so difficult to treat?
Yes, no, Emily, thanks for having me. Look, small cell lung cancer represents about 15% of all of the lung cancer cases that we see. So here in the United States, that's about 35,000 people a year are diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. It grows very fast, it spreads, and it tends to present late. So most patients who go to their doctor go there with late-stage disease, and all of those features make it a very aggressive cancer that presents late and makes it very difficult to treat.
So what is the current outlook for patients when they are diagnosed?
Well, the statistics, Emily, are bleak because it does present so late. As I mentioned, the 5-year survival for these patients with extensive disease is around 3%. And when you think about that in terms of time, it means that on average, from the point of diagnosis with extensive disease, most patients on average will survive for about 3 to 5 months. So, these are poor statistics.
And so when people are diagnosed, if the outlook is that bleak, what treatments are available?
Yeah, well, for people with early stage disease, they can have surgery, but for those with later stage disease, they really are treated with radiotherapy and with chemotherapy, and those often are quite effective, and the tumors will respond early on. But the cancer cells find a way to then get around those kind of therapies. So the cancer comes back, it's aggressive, it grows quickly, and then these patients progress, and they're then in need of another new therapy.
And so, I mean, what's the message to people? If we're catching it so late, how do we catch it early? What should we be doing?
Right. Well, look, I think, be aware of risk factors, smoking, some environmental things like asbestos exposure will increase your chances of getting small cell lung cancer. Get regular physicals, get checked, don't ignore symptoms like cough and shortness of breath. But I think the real answer is we need new therapies. And in 2023, Amgen conducted a clinical trial with a medicine called Imdelltra. Imdelltra is an antibody that has 2 arms. One of the arms basically grabs hold of the small cell lung cancer cell, and the other arm grabs hold of a patient's white blood cell, and it pulls that white blood cell into the cancer, and it unleashes the power of the patient's own immune system. And their immune system then acts to kill those small cell lung cancer cells. And Emily, I mentioned that the average survival for these patients with extensive stage disease may only be 3 to 5 months. What we found in this clinical trial was remarkable in that survival was almost tripled out to 14 months. So, there is more work to do here. We received accelerated approval from the FDA based on the results of this study. There's more studies to do. We're committed to doing that. We're committed to the patients, but we think that this is a potentially transformative new therapy that can help these patients who have really run out of other treatment options.
For those patients in the clinical trial, what was the quality of life like as they were on the treatment?
So the treatment has severe side effects. It activates the patient's immune system, and they can get side effects from that. So they have to be monitored, and the physicians have to take good care of them. But these patients had good quality of life, and their life was extended, as I say, out to 14 months. And that's another Thanksgiving, it's another birthday that somebody can experience. So it's a meaningful increase.
Well, this is all, it's difficult information, definitely, to talk about when we're talking about extending people's lives for months, but it's definitely a necessary conversation so we can continue that science and we can continue, adding on to these therapies that we already have. Where can people go for more information on what Amgen is doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely, Emily. So there is a website, imdeltra.com. That's IMDELLTRA.com. And patients can go there. They can get more information about small cell lung cancer. They can get more information about Imdeltra. And then they can have that discussion with their physician, with their oncologist, and see if this is the right medicine for them at this time in their disease.
All right. Well, great information to arm us with so that we can be proactive in our own health. Dr. Burton, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Emily.